Converting files to PDF usually means that you're converting a Word document, an image, or some other native file format. So in other words, you start with content and convert it to PDF. In this video, you'll see how to create a PDF out of a blank page directly in Acrobat. And this will allow you to add and edit text as well as place images. A couple versions ago, this came into effect, and I was really excited to hear about this simply because whenever I would create a form or something like that, or need to create a fax cover to a PDF I'm sending off, I'd have to go to a Word document or InDesign and create it, convert a PDF, and then save it out. So now we have the ability to create it from a blank page. The interesting thing about this, though, is if you click on the Create button, where I would assume it would be, it's actually not. So it's hidden under File, and you'll see the same command here called Create PDF, but there's more under here. Depending on your version of Acrobat, you may not see everything I see here, but you will notice From Blank Page. Choose From Blank Page. That creates a PDF file which is untitled and allows you to edit it. So it's sort of like a Microsoft Word Lite in some ways. You're not going to go very far with this. You do have some text editing capabilities. And if we use another tool, we can add some pictures, which we will in about a minute. So if you look out here, you'll see a blue box, kind of like a bounding box. Up top in the toolbars, you'll see that we do have some tools for editing the text, as well as the first thing I want to look at in the far right of the toolbar up there, you will see the Page Setup button. Clicking the Page Setup allows you to do a few things to the document before you get started. First of all, it's kind of weird, but I'm going to skip margins. I'm going to jump right to page. You can set the page size if you like, so we can choose from any standard page size. You can also change orientation, portrait or landscape. And once again, up at the top here, you'll see the margins. The margins are pretty big in this document to begin with, so I typically will set them at about an inch, maybe half inch, because a lot of programs will do a half inch, like Word. So we've got some margins all the way around, gives you a little bit more room to work. And if you look at the bottom, you'll see a little checkbox that says, always use these settings, so you don't have to do this next time. So if I turn that on, click OK. So now that you've got the page dimensions and the margins set up, we can go out and start adding content. With your cursor on the page, you'll see the blue box. Let's suppose this is going to be a fax cover. I typically use this, I don't know why, but a lot of times for fax covers. I also do it for quick letters I'm trying to send out, so I don't have to open Word if I'm already in Acrobat. I'll type in Grunbyte, Inc., and press return. It's very similar to Word or any other word processing program as you start to work. I'll just type in fax cover. And what we have is the ability to do some simple corrections or some simple formatting options. Choosing this text, Grunbyte Inc., I'll select that. Looking at the toolbars up top, you'll see that we have text color on the far left. So clicking that, you can kind of select a different color. If you don't like what you've got here, there's an other color option. You can go and make your own color. I'll try maybe a light, nice burgundy, dark red. We also have alignment options here. I'm going to align this to the right just so I have it on the right-hand side. You've got your font, just like other programs. Typically, what I try and suggest to people is don't go crazy with fonts. As a matter of fact, if you scroll up in that menu, you will see that things are kind of divided by lines in here. At the very top are the fonts that every version of Acrobat and Adobe Reader comes with. So if you use these fonts, you don't have to embed them. They don't have to travel with the PDF, but it makes it a little bit lighter. So everybody's got these, so everybody should be able to see these, and especially every printer, for the most part, has these. So be careful on what fonts you use. I'll try something like a Times. You have the ability to set the font size. Take a look to the right. Let's make it a little bit bigger. We've got all of our typicals out here. You got bold, you got italic, we've got underline, strike through, and you've got some extra ones here, superscript and subscript. If you've ever used those are typically for like a copyright symbol, things like that. And on the far right here, you'll see left indent and right indent. So to be able to push things in from the right edge of the page, from the left edge of the page in the paragraph. For instance, if we had the fax cover text here, select that, click and drag to select. If you use something like the left indent, that'll push it in just a little bit from the edge of the page. So if you want to indent a bullet list or something you're doing, you can do that. Let's change fax cover to be a bit bigger here. So change the font size to be a bit bigger. Once we get that set, what I'd like to do is I'd like to add a nice little logo out here. I could keep typing the rest of the text, but let's just add a nice little logo. Because you're editing this document, we can add a few things to it. What I'll do is I'll click outside of this blue box. That'll kind of stop your editing. It'll bring your cursor out. We're going to open up the Advanced Editing toolbar. Click on Advanced. I know it says Advanced, but it's not really. So come under Tools up here, you'll see Advanced Editing. Here's all the tools we can work with. We are going to show these later in a different video, but I need to show you this one now. If you choose the Touch-Up Object tool, the Touch-Up Object tool allows you to go out and move the text box. You can add pictures, things like that. Come out to the page anywhere and right-click or control-click on Mac, and you will see a couple commands here in the context menu. You'll see Place Image. Choose Place Image. We're going to put a nice logo out here to make it simple. And in the Create folder, you will see that it typically sorts by file type. So somewhere in this menu, you're going to have to tell it what files to see. And I've got my JPEG showing right now. Choose the Groomebyte logo. We'll place that in there. Click Open. We can resize it with this tool selected. Come to a corner, click and drag. Now, if you're used to working with other applications that deal with images, you do not have to hold the Shift key down. It literally will resize it for you. You can now move it. Come to the center anywhere. You can click and drag. I'll kind of bring it over here. And we'll just set it over by Groomebyte Inc. so we have a nice little logo just sitting out there. So when you create text documents in here as a blank document, you can easily edit them, add links, things like that. Now, one of the things that happens here is if you save this file, it's a PDF, but if we do a save and we give it to somebody else, as long as they have Acrobat 8 or 9, can still edit this. You may want to stop that. You may want to make it so nobody else can edit this. Coming up to the document menu, you'll see there's a couple options down here. You'll see what's called Resume Editing or Prevent Further Edits. Now, if you open this file later on, and it's got to be within Acrobat 8 or Acrobat 9, and you choose Resume Editing, that'll allow you to go to the Type tool and allow you to start clicking in the text out here so you can start working. As long as you're on your text tool here, you can see there's a selection tool. I'm on my selection tool. I can come out and actually start working again. It hides pretty much everything else on the page except for the text you're working on. Now, if you want to prevent this from happening from other people editing your document, we're going to tell it not to edit anymore. Choosing Document in the menus, you will see it says Prevent Further Edits. Choose Prevent Further Edits, and it'll give you this dialog. This is really important to pay attention to because it says if you tell it to prevent, there's no way you can edit this later on using this method. So I'm going to click Prevent Further Edits, and it basically locks the file and says, okay, let's save it. So I'll save it out to the desktop. We can call it whatever we like. We'll call this fax cover, and then save it out there. And there we go. So whenever somebody else goes to open this file, goes to work on it, they will not be able to edit the text. Now, this is an excellent way to be able to use the files that we have as well as to create a blank document for ourselves. That way we don't have to go to other programs to be able to create simple text files or even insert blank documents if you're trying to create a bigger document. So it's a nice, easy way to add time to your workflow.